So I are you good, by the way? Or is this just you just wanted a bike?
Oh, I've been doing a bit where I've been riding around on a bike for like the last 3 days.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. I noticed the trolliness during the trial. I'm like, this doesn't seem like Moss.
What do you mean trolliness?
Well,
Like,
you know,
I'll
come
be
on, there was
honest.
there was a little bit of stirring you were doing during the trial. Like, come on,
Yes and no. I mean,
you're jumping up and down on the
in
bike with that
oh
cat
yeah, no,
helmet on.
on the well, I kind of wanted to. I will say, I wanted to see if they were gonna ask me to take off my helmet. I thought it was kind of crazy that they
Yeah.
didn't ask me to.
Mm.
But I thought you meant about the way I was answering the questions. No, I was fucking around on the bike, I will say.
Yeah. No, I thought your answers were like expected, I guess.
I don't know. It was tough with Tony's questions because he was asking in a way that was so vague, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
Um and I think I'm not sure why, but it felt like the entire time he was kind of beating around the bush of the questions he actually wanted to ask
Yeah.
me, and I don't know why he didn't just directly ask me
Yeah.
what he wanted to do, what he wanted to ask.
Yeah, I was confused of that as well. Like, do you have private reports? If there was private reports written by a marshal, could you see them without them sharing it?
I think
If
he
you
also
got a FOIA request for all charges related to the warehouse, could you, in light of that report, produce them all? If they were requested on the docket and you were the prosecutor, could you produce them? You know, like to the point.
what I was gonna say is I think he asked the wrong questions, to be completely honest.
Yeah,
To the point that I think he was trying to make, I don't think he made because I don't think he asked the right questions.
I agree.
And I I'm not in a position to
Help him.
expand
Yeah.
on his questions,
Yeah.
you know. I tried to just be as neutral as possible through the whole thing.
Yeah. You ready?
What's up?
You braced?
Yes.
I shook the tree of the government yesterday.
Okay.
And apparently every single document that we've been sending to the DOJ never got to the other justices till this morning.
That's what didn't I tell you that I thought it was weird that it wasn't posted on the docket?
Well, no, it doesn't go on the docket, not the audits. You did, but these kind of audits would not show up there because inherently the justices are conflicted.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So, so now there's finally forward movement. We did about an hour of more constructive conversation with all the judges. I don't know what changed, but holy fuck was it productive. And so tomorrow there's going to be a big discussion over some of these points. You may get invited to some of it tomorrow.
I did. I got an email.
I am going to, just so you're aware, so that you're not caught off guard, is that I want the meeting to be, I want you to act as you would act, right? I'm not prescribing anything here. I just want to warn you in advance. Is if we end up with like 25 people in that meeting room, I'm going to be very vocal about reaffirming who the primary voices should be. And this is in order for things to be productive, right? Now, I'm giving a little bit of leeway because I know this is for some folks their first rodeo.
So,
Hmm.
so the email I got was in regards to the FOIA process.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
That's going to be one of tomorrow's topics.
So I'm guessing, will there be other meetings? Because didn't we also submit something for the marshals
Yep.
legislation as well?
Yep, that one is also going in. So sort of like, and I think this is where some of it was missed, is pretty much if things get out of hand, I'm going to reaffirm the notion of like, there are 4 legislative bodies, and whether it's like judges that want to weigh in, members of PD that want to weigh in, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, the heads of those legislative, there is a chain of command. You know what I mean? And that exists so that conversations can move forward. If a room turns from 5 opinions into 50 opinions, well, then how many people do you invite? You kind of go understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
that does open up, just know in advance, I want you to be openly telling me what your problems are, what legislation you think needs to change, anything that you need me to do. But it's more to point out like, hey man, this is a lot of work and we can't have 25 opinions. We need 5 people putting pen to ink and getting shit moving forward.
Well, I think that's great. I mean, how do you
Yeah.
feel about that? Are you happy, or
Well,
you feel like things are moving finally?
I'm very happy. I think I am
Good.
disappointed things got held and not given to the other justices. But at the same time, sometimes a disaster is good because it gives more merit towards why things need to be resolved. You know what I mean? So this is sort of brought to light that we need to be meeting once a week or once every 2 weeks. It also brought to light that we need some sort of communication chain, like maybe on government emails, so these things don't happen. We also learned today that apparently the justices don't get pinged when new legislation is posted. So I will say transparently that I think they're bad excuses, but I'm going to take half a win over a full win. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so,
No, I mean, it's a start. So
yeah.
it's definitely a movement in the right direction. So it's very exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I should be able to be at the thing tomorrow. It's at 4 Eastern, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. I'm going to see a movie tomorrow morning, so, but it should be back by then.
A morning movie?
Yeah, you never do morning movies?
I don't think so.
They're nice. They're not as crowded, and it's an excuse to have popcorn for breakfast.
Okay, all right. I can't hate on it. Is it IMAX or is it not? How are non-IMAX theaters? Aren't they? They got to be pretty decent by now, right?
I don't know. I've never been to this movie theater, but I think, just it's the movies,
Yeah.
It's not like amazing. Still fun though.
I mean, the screen has got to be HD, right?
You would hope, but I don't know. I'll let you know tomorrow.
Yeah, because last time I'd love to hear.
I'm into the movies in like a couple years. So looking forward to it.
There's something I want to bring up to you. Wednesday, did anyone tell you what happened in Wednesday's meeting related to gang-related shootings and whatnot?
I've been hearing some things, but what happened?
I would get Vivian and Maxwell's POV. I wasn't there. I received notes though, and my understanding is Vivian spoke up in regards to this, and I believe Maxwell did as well. but Cassidy and Ventura were explaining to everybody how they need to be charging gang-related shooting, mostly as a consequence of what happened with SK's case, which I think I told you about. I think
you did.
Vivian apparently.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, and so Vivian apparently spoke up during it, and she's like, "Well, you still have to articulate the charges," and from what was relayed to me, and this is why I encourage you to speak to Vivian and Maxwell and not, because I'm getting secondhand information, right? So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But what was relayed to me is it was kind of like scoffed, right? Like her concern was scoffed. Is that, you know what that means, right? Like just like, like disregarded.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
I'm not surprised. So I've been patrolling more lately, and the thing that I have kind of learned very quickly through patrolling and seeing how the two departments are operating is that the way that BCSO charges is I would say different than the way that I see LSPD charging. I would say, like, I think that BCSO is pretty consistent with how they charge, but I would say that they are they don't pull their punches. I think is a nice way to put it, you know. It's very kind of cut and dry with them, and they I don't know how to say this. It seems like they're kind of going on based on like past situations, and that there's sort of they have like a roadmap for charges kind of already in their head, like gang related, or like, you know, shooting equals gang related. Like the investigation, I don't really know is so heavy with them, and I want to see officers have more of a heavy hand in investigation. And one conversation that I had recently was that I would kind of like to sort of redirect people's mindsets from being arrest focused to investigation focused.
Agreed. I would describe my observations and conversations with victims of BCSO, and I'm going to call them that, and I'll explain why, as victims as a consequence of PD refereeing gang shootings. And what I think unfortunately is coming out of that is inappropriate charges. I'm aware of two of the most recent ones, SK, for example, which the argument made in bench was, based on the past, we know that if someone is in a car and they don't have a gun and they're whatever, is that they tried to shoot but were shot, were robbed, and therefore this probably happened. That is actually insane. You might as well start at that point saying, well, he was wearing a hoodie in the suburbs. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. Like, you're inferring something scary.
An example of an issue that I
Ray
found
Romanoff in the helicopter.
I don't know what that means, but
If Ray Romanoff was charged with gang-related shooting.
Who is Ray Romanoff?
He's my fucking brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he runs like a gang. He fucking, I don't think they're very successful. He was never really good at it. He was gonna be a doctor, and then I got him to shoot roads for me one day. And then it just went sideways.
Oh.
Yeah. It was one of those, like, he really... Never mind. Anyways, long story. But, he got charged with gang-related because he was in a helicopter. Now, I'll stand here and say I would not be... I understand that we can all connect the dots, right? He was probably UAVing, right? In a helicopter. But you still need to be able to articulate the probable cause. You can't just be like, well, man, I don't want to... Can't just be like, I've seen this movie a couple times. This definitely happened. This looks familiar.
That's kind of what I mean by like the roadmap thing that I said.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like they just kind of have like A equals B. Like, if this happens, I always charge this crime, you know? And it's like, where's the investigation in that logic, right?
Yeah.
There's like been like a couple, I think, positive changes recently that have been implemented. One being so there's been kind of this issue of officers using tags on MDT profiles as like probable cause. Like somebody gets like a somebody gets a somebody gets a
They brought
gang...
this up during bench. Sorry, please continue.
So here's the thing, right? Is like I started complaining about it to somebody. I get a call recently from Ventura, and Ventura told me that they are now in the process of updating the gang dossiers.
Oh my God!
Those
I suggested that to him.
Oh, good.
You know, I might do a ride along with him one day. I'd love to see improvement in that little guy. That's right.
The dossiers are being updated, and they're going to be referenced on people's profiles now. So that way, because the way that I think about it is that anything that's okay, so your MDD profile cannot be FOIA'd, right? It's internal documentation. The notes in your profile, they're not public. You know, not everybody can see them. Like members of the government, members of police, judges. I don't know if you can see them or not. But you know, the general public can't see that. So that cannot be entered in as evidence.
Holy fuck! You're a rock. Okay, keep cooking. I love this.
So what we need to do...
Oh my God! This is literally what I told Ruby.
Actual evidence in that.
Oh my.
So if somebody
God.
If somebody has a tag for a gang, they need to have the probable cause, like the link to the report listed in their profile, so then you can actually go and see, okay, why does this person have a tag? Okay, now I can articulate how this person is in a gang, and I can give them gang-related shooting.
You want to get married right now?
I thought we were going to have like a long engagement.
Yeah, sorry. It's just you're talking so much common sense. It's been a minute. Sorry, keep going.
So I think that's a really positive change. And what I told Ventura was, I said, one, don't do it all yourself. You got too much on your plate. Delegate it to seniors and have the seniors delegate it out. So that way it gets multiple people within the PD involved in this project, right? So I think that they've been cooking on that. They've been working on it for like the last week. I need to check in with them about it. But I don't know, the MDT tag thing, I thought it was all kind of stupid. Having a tag is not probable cause. Why do they have the tag? That's the probable cause.
Yes. Not to mention Den used to just throw them on there.
I mean, we have so many meme tags, like
Yeah.
it literally can't be an argument. Like we have tags that say like vibe check failed. Like you gonna use that as your probable cause? Come on.
I can say that um the vast majority of people that bring their concerns to me, I tend to filter them on, are they crying, right? When you filter out the crying, right? Like PD arrested me when I did something illegal. The core issue I think often comes down to when someone has a charge, can it be explained to them why they're getting it? And when somebody who may have done something very violent, right? Even they deserve the, you're getting this because of dot, 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 dot. They're not going to complain anymore, right? And those that do, they're not worth listening to. And
Yeah.
I think that same formula that satisfies them also greatly helps the police department, not only with winning cases in court, but looking good in court,
Yeah.
right?
No, I 100% agree.
Um,
I mean, just simply being able to, and I do think it's gotten better. Like because I know it was like when I first became chief, man, there were a lot of appeals on the docket all the time, and also lawsuits on the docket. I haven't seen as many. Um, it's definitely dwindled down significantly, which is nice. And I'd have to go back and look at like the ones that were posted, like who who ultimately won them. Was the appeal granted or not?
mm, yeah, I do think that's less the lawyers. There's been no new bar licenses issued until Arcadia picked up again. Bar was dead, pretty much. Arcadia has since taken up the mantle. Just last week, she got 4 attorneys. I think that's assisted to some degree. However, I think this is very, very good, and I
Oh,
think
but the
people need to.
thing
I think people need to know this.
the
If I'm going to
thing
be honest.
that yeah, I mean, I think that we can figure out a way to like explain to people that like we are trying to take those steps, that like not only make our police work better but also protect the citizens, right?
Would you be opposed? And I don't want to. You need to think on it. You say no, it's whatever, right? I have a city hall meeting on Monday.
At what time?
I was thinking an hour after the meeting, the PD meeting, in
I won't
which,
be able to make it.
well, what time would work for you?
On Monday it would have to be after, I mean, like the absolutely earliest would be like 5:30 EST.
We could do another one in the evening, which wouldn't be a bad one. And my recommendation would be letting folks know, spinning it in a positive way, in that in order to increase police accountability, however you want to phrase it, right? You'd be saying, listen, we recognize that, I don't know how you want to phrase it, but if you can go in there, you can get a win for both the PD and the general public, and letting them know, hey, we're upping our standards.
Yeah. I mean, I think like I'm trying to up the standards and like a number of things. And one thing that happened yesterday that was concerning is we had arrested some people from a robbery, from like a Fleeca robbery or something.
Yeah.
One of them was directly involved in the robbery, and the other person arrested got obstruction of justice because they showed up on scene and tried to break their buddy out of custody. Very straightforward, in my opinion, it was pretty much textbook obstruction of justice. And the guy who felony obstructed, he showed up in a car, and when we were in the cells, I heard on radio they were talking about VAPs, and they mentioned VAPing his car. And I was like, why are you VAPing his car? He's getting obstruction of justice. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, he obstructed a violent
Butterfly,
felony,
I think it's
therefore
17
he
months.
should also get a VAP on his car. And I was like, no, that's not how that works. The reason why, so hear me, let me cook for a second and see if you agree with me on this.
I already agree, but continue.
The reason why we would bath the original vehicle
As if it was an
for a
accessory
robbery
for a violent felony.
is not because they are robbing that place. It's because they use that vehicle to kidnap somebody.
Yep.
That is the purpose of vapping that vehicle, as it was used during a kidnapping.
Yes. So unless you
It's
can
not-
articulate
it's-
accessory
okay, but
kidnapping.
Yeah, but even then, we're not inherently vapping the car, because then the kidnappers use that car to drive away and to recklessly evade. It is because it was originally used to kidnap. So unless...
Yeah.
So I think that there has been this idea that because this person kidnapped, from point A, they kidnapped, then they hop into somebody else's car. Well, now that car holds the kidnappers. So now that car should be vapped, but that car had nothing to do with the initial kidnapping.
Right.
And can you articulate that the driver of that vehicle even knew that that original crime had been committed? And so now we have this sort of string of vehicles. I can't think of the right term, but now we have this string of vehicles that were all used in this incident that are now somehow all receiving a VAF, because the original vehicle was used to kidnap. But even though these vehicles were just used during the pursuit to try to, pick up, it's easier to articulate the VAF if they are like actively in the pursuit. But I would say at the end, when this guy is just trying to pick up his friend, it's just obstruction of justice. I can't articulate that he was involved in the original crime. I don't know. I can assume he probably knew, but that's assuming.
Right.
I think that's the problem, is that there are just so many assumptions being made now, and people are arresting based on assumptions.
Yep.
And giving out charges based on assumptions.
Because they saw the film before.
Yes.
And that's so dangerous. Right?
They already have a predetermined idea of, okay, you go to Fleeka, you will get these charges.
She's literally saying
anybody that's involved will also get these charges no matter what.
It's impressive how similar your conclusion is compared to a conversation I had with other attorneys during the trial. During that little break in between trials. And how... Yeah. You would agree, though, that if 3 people robbed the bank with a kidnapper and they use separate cars to now get away, that those separate cars would be vaffed, right?
If they were driving the car, I would say yes. You could articulate vapping the vehicle.
But not this 4th individual with a separate vehicle, because that's after the fact. That's at best an accessory.
After the fact.
After the fact. But
yes.
Which is why I wonder why they didn't go with accessory after the fact to begin with. You give them accessory kidnapping, accessory robbery.
Yeah, I mean, I personally felt like it was my call for this guy last night, and I mean, he just obstructed justice. They didn't even have any weapons on him, you know?
There's enough there to
Don't
show that it was probably, it's more likely than not he got a ring-a-ding like, hey, we're gonna crash out, we need help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I also just feel like people overly complicate charges and the things that they need to do. And I had a conversation with Bones very briefly earlier today, and I am trying to think of ways to kind of streamline processes. And Bones was there with me about the VAP thing, and Bones and I are kind of both on the same page where I'll keep it a buck. It's not a hill that like I really want to die on, the VAP thing, or like really care to climb, but we do need just a standard procedure for it. Like, if, the vehicle was directly used in a violent crime, VAF it. If the vehicle was not directly used in a violent crime, don't VAF it. It's pretty straightforward. Because the
Yeah.
way that the officers were trying to explain it to me last night on why they wanted to VAF this car was like, well, they felony obstructed, but we could also charge them with accessory, but that would be stacking. So instead of doing that, we just VAP the car. And I'm like, so you're VAPing them for a crime you're not even charging them with.
I think you walked into a PD, and I know it's been some time, but you have been up against a tsunami. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just push the water back in the opposite direction. I think for a long time, there's a lot of tendencies that are always going to be difficult to like roll back. So I think it sounds like the steps that you're taking make a lot of sense, and I hope you get the support you need for it.
Yeah, I think I will. I mean, the fact that like Bones and I are just on the same page about it, like we're both kind of like, we don't really care about VAFs, but if we're gonna give out a VAF, it just needs to be done in a very certain way. Because I mean, like my feeling about VAFs are that they don't go away. Once you get a VAF, it's there forever. So if it needs to hold some weight, and it kind of seems like it doesn't really hold that weight right now. It's just like, oh, another checkbox to click off,
Yeah. Yep.
Should be a big deal if somebody gets a VAF, in my opinion.
I agree. I think equally it should be a big deal if someone's turning into a felon. You know what I mean? For me, it's like it screams double, triple check your work, because that might be someone's life being ruined. Or, I spoke to Maxwell about this. I asked her to work with Maeve on what I'm about to explain. Apparently, there's not enough tow drivers. Consequence of two things. I know I'm completely going on a different tangent now. Number one, it turns out that Blaine County has controlled the majority of tow pay from the beginning of time. I assumed I was responsible for it. I'm not. I am going to be paying Pred to increase. I'm going to be recompensating whatever the cost of Blaine County is to upgrade up the tow amount. In addition to that,
good.
I've asked Maxwell to work with Maeve to come up with a list of civilians you trust to tow your vehicles and fix and swap your car parts. Because there's another issue where apparently cops are self-repairing and self-swapping parts, and that's nasty. I don't know how to put it. I know you guys can do things, but it takes away off the plate on the few remaining civilians in the city. Understandable when there's no option, but it's very has a very negative effect on the city. You know, you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, no, I hear you.
with saying that, I am going to be requesting that if a LSPD officer issues a tow on a vehicle you guys are processing, yes, I'm throwing politics in here because I'm not paying BCSO for shit. They can suck my dick. If one of your cops issues a tow on a vehicle and calls one of these PD tow guys, of which you will maintain a list on, that officer is going to get a bonus of like $2,500, and that tow driver is going to get $2,500. It may even go up to $5,000. The reason is, I am through money encouraging that cop to call tow, and encouraging that tow driver to come and pick up y'all's vehicle, but also encourage that collective to make sure that that vehicle securely makes its way and gets impounded. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's good.
Okay.
No, I think that's great.
The second is equally, that if you need repair, like, I understand you guys got like this, like, special, like, drill, to change your stuff. So equally, if you have a list of like trusted repair people, we can do something very similar to that. And I know this is a little backwards, putting money in people's pockets to make them do the right thing. But honestly, I don't really give a shit as long as the outcome works. Because I can't change people's mental, right? But I can encourage them with the one thing everyone cares about, which is money. So, and hopefully that can... It's like the trickle-down effect. If I can encourage people to do something with money, maybe the good of it, like, you know, people get used to it, and then it becomes a common thing.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think that would be good. I think that'd be nice. Something I was gonna say, but I forgot. But no, I think that these are all positive changes. Yeah, I think it's great.
I do want to let you in on another conversation, and this is actually one of the big ones that was had with the justices and judges. I'm going to talk kind of vaguely because I'm summarizing a 40-minute conversation. Somehow the topic of PD came out, and the performance of officers in court, and how things seemingly are making their way there, and it's like there's no learning coming out of it. And it was brought up, I know, and once again, I'm being vague because I'm not trying to say names, or some of the judges brought up the question of like, well, we've tried to offer assistance in like court-related stuff, but it seems they're not getting it. I did bring up, well, like, can we set up a seminar or something?
It is one of my like training modules. Ugh, you know, this is okay. This is where I'm at with these things, is that we're trying to do these training modules, and we're trying to get retraining, and one of them is court and docket stuff. I am desperately trying not to do it myself.
Let's get the judges.
I think that would be good. I would need to talk to them though, because especially with like lawyers, I need them to give the information in a specific way. Like, they can't go too in depth with it. They can't, like, they have to come at it from like kind of a basic uh place, and it has to be very like quick. Like people, we'll keep it a buck. Everybody, including myself, has ACDC, and
Yeah.
but it's frustrating because you know, the conversation that you and I had about like how am I spending my time, you know, which I am still I'm working with Maxwell to figure out the Hydra stuff. It's you'll see. But is my time is that really how I should be spending my time in modules, because I'm trying to delegate that to people to take on those roles to retrain, but nobody wants to do it.
I think that there are people in San Andreas that are waiting to meet you and become vital parts of a police department that fits your vision. And I genuinely believe this is related but doesn't solve the issue, is that you guys need a job fair where you personally, Daisy Moss, has 2-minute one-on-ones with these interested parties, which I think you would find many people that would pick up things very quickly. And just for disclaimer, I'm not saying I'm flying people into this meeting specifically to meet you, but I say this as a consequence of I look at my own office and say it's shocking how many sharp individuals are in San Andreas waiting to be found. And if they know you're looking and may have quit thinking that PD would never hire anybody, you might be surprised. You know, I mean, look at Maeve. Look at, you know, Michael, fucking Archibald, fucking Corolla. Like, they're all stars that I happen to run into and that genuinely run the mayor's office for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't fucking write shit. I review it. I give them direction. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like that is sort of what I think you can and should be, is that you have people that no question follow your vision, and every day they wake up and like, yo, we're gonna work on this because this is what, you know, Moss wants, right? This is our vision, not Moss's vision. This is our vision that we believe in. And even if they don't have a lick of police experience, I'm not trying to downplay it. Or maybe I'm a little bit. In the same way, it's not exactly crazy to become a lawyer. Cops ain't that much different either. You get what I'm saying? What I mean by that is,
yeah, no, I understand.
like,
no, I do want to do the job fair, but I also have to. Maybe it's just to like meet people, but not immediately hire, because we do have a lot of cadets right now we're trying to get through, and
yeah,
I can't put that on
understandable.
the few FTOs that we currently have. It's too much. But
And I only brought that up because it sounded like you're saying that, man, there's a lot of things that need to be done, but not enough bodies that are willing to do it. And
no, that is what I'm saying.
if I was in that position, as I was at one point 2.5 months ago ish, that told me they're gone. And as much as they could be the best fucking whatever, if they're not around and they're not doing it, their value is 0. You get what I mean? Or their value is like 5%, you know? It's like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
yeah. Do you think I don't think you're wrong. We definitely need people who are willing to contribute in more ways than just patrol. Which I think a lot of people do, but you know, trying to get people to sit down and teach these modules is felt like an impossible task.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is I think a lot of people are also burnt out in San Andreas. Like, and it's not just the PD, so that's like a reality you're working with. But you know,
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
okay. Well,
I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
yeah.
Hopefully we can make some good progress with the FOIA stuff. And let me know about Monday. I'll see what I can do. Like the
Okay.
time of it. I can write something up.
Yeah, I'd say an hour. Yeah, we'll do Monday. I'm gonna do an hour after Tsunami, and then maybe another one at 7 p.m. if that works for you. That way you can make the second one. It's mostly I want to let folks know where things are, all the things that we've done in the past 4 weeks, which is actually an assload of shit. But I think the PD should do the same because people hearing from you, I think, goes a long way.
Okay.
So
sounds good.
Okay, easy. All right.
All right.
If you want me and my lawyer friends to ever drill cops on something, let me know, and I can always instruct them that it's a teaching thing and not a break 'em thing. You know what I mean?
I would really like to do the mock trials. I think that would help a lot of people. It's just finding the time and finding somebody to facilitate it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let me float an idea to you, Moss. I mean, you obviously know what you're doing. Why don't you create more daisies by, like, training your trainers? If you train your trainers, then you know what your standard expectation is when they train.
No, it's finding the trainers. That's the problem. Nobody wants to train.
Oh, it's actually that bad. It's not even. Oh.
There's very few people who want to train.
Shouldn't all your sergeants pluses be required to do that? I'm not trying to overstep here. I think it's a legitimate question.
Yes and no. Look, training, FTOing, it is exhausting. It can take a heavy toll on you, and I need my command to be running the shifts and be available for officers. And if I put that on them too of training, I think that is an easy way to burn somebody out much faster.
I get it. Yeah.
So I have to be careful about I'm trying to get stuff off of command right now. I'm trying to promote seniors to take some of that load off of command members. I am hesitant to give them more than they already have. Like, I'm trying to get them to delegate more because I think that they are all taking on too much as it is.
I get that. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, hey, I think the plan sounds amazing. So,
yeah, I have to find people outside of command who can do this. You know.
Well, I'm sure you'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Hey,
all right, you good?
Yep, I'm good. You take care, Moss.